WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week. Tonight, the Shaw Eagles and the John Curtis Patriots. Hi, I'm Doug Mouton along with Renee Nato. Could be a good one tonight, Renee. We'll start off talking about Shaw. Now, Hank Tierney is gone. Scott Bainsfather comes in, the new head coach, and he's got an outstanding senior quarterback, doesn't he?
After 19 years as a new sheriff in town, as you alluded to, Scott Bainsfather, he's a captain of the ship for the Shaw Eagles. And Carlos Rochelle, he's a senior, a 3-year starter, Doug. Started as a sophomore. In fact, he started in the finals against West Monroe in the Superdome. What a smart guy. Great reach, great instincts, got a strong arm. This kid, you never rattle him. He's got very, very poised. All A's, a 4.0 student, hasn't gotten a B since 8th grade. Carlos Rochelle, and he's a prime prospect for the colleges.
And on the Curtis side, this team is loaded with college prospects, but nobody is more fun to watch than a little cornerback number 39. Tell us about him.
He's number 39. You have 18 college prospects down on the field for the John Curtis Patriots, but the diminutive little 5'6", give or take an inch or so, Jason Cortez. He's a state wrestling champ, a 40-inch vertical jump. He had 7 picks in 2001. 4.4 speed for good measure, and this kid is being looked at as probably a dynamo in punt returns and kickoff returns by Colorado, Wyoming, and many of the schools.
The kickoff is next. The John Curtis Patriots and the Shaw Eagles from Joe Yenny Stadium. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20. The 10-yard line by number 3, Kirk Jackson. Jason Cortez, a bolt of lightning down the sideline, 84 yards on the opening kickoff return for number 39, the guy we talked about, Jason Cortez, Renee.
And the thing about that, Doug, is they had a lane open up for him, and he just followed his blockers, and a great, outstanding job of just watching where his blockers open up the lane for him and scoot in on the sidelines, using that 4.4 speed, and you're not going to catch him from behind. Great job by the safety who cut him off and made the tackle and saved a sure touchdown for the Shaw Eagles.
And Curtis has always had some of the best special teams in Louisiana. Now to offense. Chris Jackson, the senior quarterback, and they hand up off the middle, maybe get 2. You'll see a lot of that. That's Heath Roberts running the ball on that one. They'll come out with Jackson is the quarterback, Roberts and Bush are the running backs.
That line up front, Doug, is loaded with some 300-pounders and some big-time college recruits led by Jerry Seven, number 55, the right guard. But, well, you're going to see those guys just take control of the line of scrimmage.
And you will see Curtis run it off guard a lot. That's the bread and butter. They'll do it all night. Option keeper for Jackson, and he's not going to get far, although he makes a nice spin move to get to about the 5. So it's going to be 3rd and goal now for Curtis at the 5. Big opportunity for John Curtis right off the bat.
Well, they're going to pound you, yes, and great field position, so that kind of changes things a little bit. But Curtis, and this works right into their scheme because they play power football, and that line really fires off.
And here's the big guys up front. Morales is the tight end, Louis, Savan, Robertson, Sprunk, and Meyer. The split ends, Bienvenu, John Kent, Jackson's the quarterback, Roberts and Bush the running backs, although we'll see multiple running backs from Curtis. 3rd down, big play for the Shaw defense. On the option, Roberts, he's got a lane to the outside, cuts back, and he is in. The option works, touchdown, Curtis. Heath Roberts gets it in the end zone for the first score, and it is 6-0 quickly. 10:21 still to go in the first quarter.
And Bo Grinder, the outside linebacker, was hooked in by Brandon Morales, the tight end for the Curtis Patriots. A great block. He blocked, allowed Heath Roberts to scoot outside, give him a lane to run into the end zone untouched.
And John Curtis, without 4 to go, just 9 yards on the drive, and they get it in 3 plays for the touchdown. And Curtis will not pass up many opportunities, and they get that one. Now one of the state's best kickers, who just also happens to be the quarterback, Chris Jackson, number 1, lines up for the extra point. This kid has already committed to LSU as a kicker, but JT thinks he can also play as a quarterback.
He can. We'll see a lot of him tonight.
The extra point is good. John Curtis with a terrific kickoff return from Jason Cortez takes the 7-0 lead. That's the way we stand in the first quarter. We're back with more of the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week WHNO TV 20. It was Wayne Lasserre, the tight end. He did walk off under his own power. Second down now. Out of the I, full back up the middle. They'll get about 3. That was Stephen Goodwin, the senior, getting it up to about the 27, maybe the 28. So third and short. Now, big play for Shaw. You said it, Renee. You gotta keep that Curtis offense off the field right now.
And they're going to have to try the corners and maybe have Rochelle air it out just a little bit, even for a little swing pass or a short pass to one of the receivers to keep Curtis kind of back on their heels a little bit. Losing their tight end may have hurt them a little bit as they're jockeying against some receivers, spreading them out a little bit. And as Rochelle goes to what looks like an empty backfield right now.
And Rochelle will go with 4 wides. 5 wides. 5 wides, nobody in the backfield, which is dangerous with that Curtis pass rush. Rochelle on a keeper, and he's got absolutely nowhere to go. Makes a nice move to get back to about the 23. Cornell Stewart looked like the guy to finish it, but a lot of Patriots in quickly.
And Chris Bua was one of the guys who kind of turned them back inside. Carlos Rochelle was trying to get wide, and Chris Bua, the younger brother of Tony Bua, who was the SEC Defensive Player of the Week last week from Arkansas, did an outstanding job, and he's one of those highly recruited defensive players on the Curtis Patriot defense.
And John Curtis has a lot of those guys. Now, 2 men deep. Cortez is the guy that they would like to see get the ball if you're on the Patriots side. Big rush, and just getting the punt off, and this will be Cortez. Fumbles the ball from his own 42, and it looks like Shaw got it. So first break of the game for the Eagles. Cortez muffs the punt, and Shaw gets it. That's 86, Nolan Gilsclair getting the ball.
And Scott T-Mac almost blocked it with a good punt. And as we mentioned, you mentioned a fumbled snap, a fumbled reception for Jason Cortez, and now the Eagles get new life at their own 43-yard line, and this is something the Eagles may have needed, little help from Mother Nature, if you will. Yeah, getting a rare mistake from Jason Cortez, and Shaw goes back on the offensive now at the Curtis 43-yard line. Rochelle with the I formation behind him, and he gives it to Johnson. Johnson beats a man in the backfield, then goes down. Too much penetration there for Curtis. That was 46, Mike Oquan, getting deep in the backfield and disrupting the play. Johnson really nowhere to go. And Oquan really coming back last year from a knee surgery at the end of the season last year, but he missed all of 2001, but expect him to be very solid this year. One of those ringleaders on the defense, outside linebacker, great attitude, and his motor's always running, Doug, and he's historically, the outside linebackers for the Patriots always are solid, and they've sent quite a few to the next level. And Oquan's a senior, and J.T. Curtis will funnel in a lot of defensive players. You might see up to 20 different guys playing defense in the first half. Rochelle now out of the shotgun with 1 back and 3 receivers. He pumps, and he's going to run, and he cannot. It was Oquan and others wrapping him up. Ryan Watson, the big defensive tackle, part of that, just nowhere to run up the middle, and that's figures to be a problem all night, doesn't it? It does, and the door kind of closed on him, didn't have any way to go, and he couldn't use his 4.6 speed to scoot up away from the defensive players. You got to remember, a lot of these guys are pretty quick and skate to the line, good agility, and that was Cornell Stewart, who is Cordell Stewart's nephew. Nothing like his uncle. He's 6'6", 300 pounds, benches 350, and negotiates to 40, Doug, in a 4.7. Cordell, a little different from his uncle. Oh, yeah. But quite an athlete. Cornell Stewart and Oquan on that stop, and now 3rd and long, about 17 yards, 5 receivers out. Rachel's got a little time, and he's going to take off again. No receivers, and he's pulled down after a short gain by Mike Heidel. And Shaw now is going to have to punt. They get great field position at the Curtis 43, and they're not able to do anything with it. And credit that defense with really shutting him down. Good defensive effort on the defensive backs. It didn't allow him to complete a pass or really scoot up the field, and allowed the linebackers and defensive interior linemen to make the stops, which were near the line of scrimmage. Consequently, not much. They moved the ball. In fact, they moved it back, lost 3 yards in that series. And the punt will come down inside the 20 to about the 14-yard line, coming wide on the return, but no way. Well, breaks a tackle, nowhere to go. Flag down on the play. Kind of an ugly return there on that one. That was Derek Cothran running it back for Curtis. He stopped at his own 12 and a flag down. They may come back a little bit, Doug. Cothran, the senior strong safety, also the return man back there with Cortez.
And Renee, it is going to come back a little bit against Curtis, though. This will push him back inside their own 10. Back to about the 6-yard line. Call it the 5.
And as the headmaster right there, 17 state titles, approaching his 380 victories as a coach. You know, talking this week about some of these coaches, Billy North and company, Don Watney, some of these coaches approaching their 100th victory. JT is approaching his, in the next couple of years, he conceivably could approach the 400 mark in victories.
Unbelievable. And that's Roberts, the guy who got the touchdown, coming off the right side, and he'll get about 5. Good first down pickup from your own 5. Curtis figures to run it between the tackles a lot. They're awfully good between the tackles, aren't they, Renee?
Well, you got those two guys. You got right tackle. You got Alan Lew, who's 6'2", 300, being looked at by West Virginia, Iowa State, Tulane, and Baylor. And on the left side, you got a Fuzzy Cheek Jr., who's only 6'3", 285. He will be a blue-chip prospect for 2003. Aaron Meyer, both very strong physical guys, can run very well and move off that line of scrimmage.
And this is Bush this time up the left side. Nowhere to go on that one. He might have got a yard. So it's going to set up a big 3rd down now for Curtis as Shaw's defense plays well in the first couple of plays of this drive.
Eric Gifford did a good job from his right defensive tackle position. He's, you know, most of the defensive linemen for the Shaw Eagles are undersized. They go 232, 241, 252, and 212 across the front. So you can see they're giving away a lot of weight. And so that initial surge off the line of scrimmage pushes them back a yard or two, is giving the advantage to the running backs. But so far, Shaw's done pretty well.
Chris Jackson, 2 wideouts, 2 guys in the backfield. That's Jackson rolling. He's got plenty of room. He's at the 20. He's at the 30. The DB is not turned around. He's past midfield. Jackson cuts back and goes down to about the 36. On that play, Mark Bienvenu, the wideout, ran straight down the field with Kirk Jackson, the quarterback. Jackson never turned around, while Chris Jackson, the quarterback, just took it straight down the sideline for a 53-yard pickup.
Good play action look right there, Chris Jackson. And you got to credit Mark Bienvenu. What he did was as good as a block. He sold the DB on the fact that the pass was coming, and he just raced down the field. Had it not been for Robbie Rhodes, he'd still be running. Great acting job by Bienvenu.
And they go right back off guard. That's Roberts getting it to about the 30. That's a pickup about 6. And right when you think you have them, Shaw's got them down at their own 10-yard line with a 3rd down and about 5. And then all of a sudden the explosion comes. And that's what you get with this offense. Good tackle there by Craig Hebert. But, you know, the thing about Chris Jackson is he's been known as a great field goal kicker and a punter. But, you know, he's got 4.5 speed, Doug. And J.T. Curtis told me that if he concentrated on just one thing, let's just say quarterback, he can play quarterback on the next level. He's that kind of athlete. Jackson now with 2 receivers to the top of the screen. Roberts and Bush in the backfield. That's Roberts. Plenty of room. He fumbles the ball. And Curtis will get it back. But that is twice now that Curtis has put the ball on the grass. You won't see that often. And right here, Heath Roberts is through, and Lewis Thomas looked like he did strip the ball. Lewis playing close to the line, even though he's listed as a free safety. Stripped the ball, and Curtis did get it back, but an outstanding job by Lewis Thomas, who's going to be busy beat tonight as free safety. A 6'1", 182-pounder. But they're going to play him close to the line and kind of try to jam things as much as possible. Curtis does not pass. You can look for JT to pass the ball 6 or 8 times. You've seen him play before, so it's kind of smash-mouth football. And that's Bush right up the gut. He'll get about 6 on that play. That backfield was Bush and Bush. Chris Bush is 27. Kirk Bush is 9. And the two of them lined up between Jackson. They go up the middle to Chris, the older of the Bushes. He's the senior. Well, Chris Bush is a senior, and so far, Texas A&M and Baylor have offered the 6'1", 195-pound senior with 4.5 speed a scholarship. Good in basketball, too, Doug. I don't know if he can play basketball at the next level, but he's averaging 19 points a game on the floor for Mike Kreitcher's Patriot basketball unit, so he's a pretty versatile athlete as well. Curtis now inside the 20. They're at about the 18-yard line. 2nd down. This is Bush again, a little power, getting it to the 15 and then falling forward, getting the extra yard. He'll be close to the 1st down. Another good play as defensive backs are coming up. Lewis Thomas got a hand on that. Coming up for the, didn't see who the initial tackle was made by. Looks like it was
Didn't get a number, but Lewis Thomas was in on tackle, and it's 3rd and short, and this is just power football right now.
And they are going to take a measure here. Curtis starting this drive deep in their own territory at their own 6-yard line.
Well, you know, the right side of that line, Doug, you got Savan and Lou. Both of those guys are pretty powerful, over 300 pounds, and Lou bench presses 340. Of course, Savan is a 440 bench, a commit to LSU, and a 4-year starter. He has started more games than any Patriot prior to his arrival here with the John Curtis Patriots. A 4-year starter, started as a true freshman his first year, and all-state performer a number of times, and he's going to be a great one for the LSU Tigers.
2:15 to go first quarter. John Curtis with a 7-0 lead over Shaw and driving. They've gone 80 yards so far in this drive, and they're trying to put it in the end zone. That's Bush, and he will score up the middle. That's Kirk Bush, the sophomore, taking it right up the gut. Very little resistance, and he is in the end zone. And Curtis is now up 13-0 on Shaw.
And that was just a good explosion through a gaping hole in the middle. And you can see right here, right through the right side, which was Jerry Savan, opened that hole along with Jeff Robertson, the center. And I think you or I could have run through that hole. Not to take anything away from Kirk Bush, but the Patriots go up. And 13-0 with the extra point upcoming.
Right over Savan and Lou, and Curtis now at the 13-0 lead. Not the way Scott Bainsfather wanted this one to start. Chris Jackson, the quarterback, of course, for the extra point. He rarely misses, and he gets that one and sends it deep. 2:03 to go first quarter. John Curtis Patriots with the 7-0 lead over Shaw. Looking good for Curtis right now. We're back in a minute with more of the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20. 14-0 Curtis, 2:03 to go first quarter. Let's go down to the sideline for Nate Singleton. Nate?
Guys, we have a great game tonight. John Curtis is up 14-0 to Bishop Shaw. I think right now John Curtis' offensive line is really looking impressive. They're dominating this game. If Shaw wants to get back into this game, defensive line is going to really have to step up to the forefront. Back to you guys.
100% correct from Nate Singleton, and Chris Jackson boots another kickoff out of the end zone, unreturnable. That's such a weapon, too, isn't it, Renee?
It is, and it puts the offense at a disadvantage because there's no chance for a return, and you're starting at the own 20. So, but the Shaw Eagles right now starting at their 20 and hopefully regroup a little bit, down 14-0, and they do have some weapons. Carlos Rochelle, again, with the experience he has, started as a sophomore in the state finals against Western Monroe, so he's been there before, and you're not going to rattle him. We talked about his academic prowess, his academic accomplishments, Doug, and well, I'll tell you what, you got a guy who hasn't gotten a B since 8th grade, straight A's. You know, he's pretty cerebral.
And Chris Jackson of Curtis, also a good student. And the best offensive play so far for Shaw, that's Brandon Johnson picking up about 9. Actually, it looks like he's going to get the first down. And it is a first down for Shaw. Terrific run there by Johnson. It's Shaw coming back. This is exactly what they need, Renee. They've got to get something going now because Curtis can get it out of hand on you quick.
Well, they're not big up front, but they certainly are effective. And nice hole open up by Amon and Talamo, allowing Brandon Johnson to skirt through for a nice pickup and a first down.
Back to the eye. This is the fullback, and really nowhere to go on that one. I think that was Watson in the middle, those 3 big guys. Watson, Carter, Stewart. You'll hear his color names a lot. 98, 90, and 97, and they just plugged that middle.
And, you know, Watson's we talked about a little bit about Cornell Stewart, but Ryan Watson is Southern Cal, LSU, Tulane, Tennessee, Iowa State, Kansas State, and Oregon are looking at him. 6'4", 290-pound defensive tackle, 350 bench, Doug, and he's in the same category as his other 2 line mates. You're not going to move those big animals.
Second down, call it 9. Rachel to pass. He throws it. It's a little short. Cortez, actually, if he had thrown it high enough, Cortez may have been able to pick that one off.
Here you go. Gaping hole right here. Skirting through is Bush. And as we mentioned, that was just a big hole opened up by Savan and Lou, allowing Bush to get into the end zone basically untouched for the second score. That was a sideline toss. And they've thrown it to zone coverage, and Rochelle's going to have to be very careful because those defenses are going to read his eyes and watch the way he's going. He's going to have to look off the receivers a little bit. But he does have the arm strength to hit those very difficult sideline tosses.
Third down, big pressure on Rochelle. Nowhere to go. Oquan, again, having a very active game, is the guy that gets to Rochelle. But there were a lot of guys in there, quickly, and Carlos Rochelle just having a tough time getting any time to make a decision.
You know, they say Carlos Rochelle is a lot like Vance Joseph, who led the Shaw Eagles to their state championship a few years back. And, you know, he's got great range. He reads the defense very well. You know, and he can break the long run. He's got 4.6 speed, and he's very much in the same mold as past quarterbacks, Derek Joseph, Vance Joseph, and Carlos Jones for the Shaw Eagles.
And the kick will come down to Cortez. He takes it at about his own 44. He's got a little room to the outside, and he's down the sideline, and he is gone. Jason Cortez, it looked like he could have stepped out of bounds, but he'll go down the side. There is a flag on the near side as Cortez gets in the end zone. The flag's a little blocked by the Curtis bench, and it looks like this one is going to come back. But Cortez, just a lightning bolt, gets to the sideline and takes off.
He exploded, Doug, after he got his hands on that football just now. And that, you know, we talk about his 4.4 speed, but he is a power lifter, and he's got his muscles react in an explosive manner, and he just shot down the sidelines. And this is why we mentioned he is one of the highly rated return specialists in the state of Louisiana. Colorado and Wyoming are two that are looking at him, but I'm sure there'll be others before the season is over.
You give him one block, and that's all he needs, and it will come back. Of course, Curtis now will start at their own 38-yard line. It's a big play they don't get. 9 seconds to go in the first quarter as we approach the end of the quarter. A quarter dominated by Curtis on both sides of the ball. The offense with a 94-yard drive for a touchdown. The special teams with an 84-yard return to set up a touchdown, and the defense has completely shut Shaw out. One-sided so far on what will probably be the last play of the first quarter. Big rush, the ball is down, and Shaw will pick it up, and he's going to get it to the end zone. That's Brandon LeBlanc getting in. 3 times Curtis has put the ball on the grass in the first quarter, and that one cost them dearly as Shaw gets the big play they've been waiting for. Brandon LeBlanc scoops it up and gets in.
And look at that great explosion by Eric Gifford shooting the gap. He came up with the snap of the ball, and that was designed, Doug. He came through. It was slanting, and he's coming through on the gap, in the one gap, came through and hit Chris Jackson, allowing his teammate to scoop up the ball, and Brandon LeBlanc gets one of those rare touchdowns from a defensive lineman. And boy, I tell you what, you never seen a happier 5'10", 212-pound defensive lineman, Brandon LeBlanc.
Gifford makes the play. LeBlanc takes it into the end zone, and Shaw is suddenly back in the ball game. And Renee, that's exactly what they needed. Something bad happens, they come right back and get a touchdown. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, power generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. When you need a lift, call Prime Equipment Company at 348-2841. Shaw will kick the extra point. We are at the end of the first quarter, but they will kick the extra point before we switch ends.
And this is something the Eagles desperately needed to get a shot in the arm before the first quarter was over, and now they close the gap to potentially 7 points here with a 14-6 with the extra point upcoming.
Jared Falcon with the extra point. And he gets it. And Shaw suddenly back in the game. We got a ball game again at the end of one quarter. Curtis up 14-7. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week. WHNO Season 20. Let's set it back down to Nate Singleton on the sideline.
Guys, just when you think John Curtis is dominating, score was 14-0 when Bishop Shaw came out with a big play. Defensive end Randall LeBlanc picks up a fumble and goes 43 yards. Guys, the score is 14-7. They're right back in it.
Right back in the game, and Bush takes the kickoff short, and he's still running. He'll get up to about the 34-yard line. That was Kirk Bush on the return, and now Shaw just opted to keep it away from Cortez, and that can't be a bad idea, Ken.
No, if you kick it to Cortez, 3 things can happen, and 2 of them are bad.
Right. Cortez did muff one, but you got to think that's probably his for the game, maybe for the year. And, yeah, twice he has. Once he has almost gone all the way. Once he has, and it was called back. So keeping it away from him cannot be a bad move.
And, you know, the thing is, he's been itching to get in on offense and get some carries. anything short of changing jersey numbers and trying to sneak in for a Chris Bush. He's itching at Jeff Curtis to please let him get a carry on offense, and hasn't happened.
And that's Chris Bush right there. Nowhere to go. Good defense there by Shaw. Darren Siebert, the middle linebacker, making the play on that one. It's going to be second down and about 10.
Hey, we got some brain power down there. The middle linebacker you just mentioned, Siebert's another guy, all straight A's. And both of these teams, they do a great job on the field athletically and academically as well. We got quite a few players. We're going to try to point them out. A lot of honors students, a lot of honor roll students, and it goes to show that you can be a great student, Doug, and perform well athletically. And Shaw and John Curtis are both great examples of successful student athletes.
Roberts on the counter. He'll get a couple, and then he's thrown down there by Robbie Rhodes. He'll pick up about 4. So it's going to be about 3rd and 6. And Shaw would sure like to get the ball back now. They got some momentum. They're only down a touchdown.
Well, you know, that touchdown, that defensive touchdown, is something that Shaw needed and gave him a shot in the arm. And, boy, this really carries over. You know, doesn't make a difference if you get points offensively or defensively. It just counts on the scoreboard. And the defense is really jacked up knowing that what they can do out here. And they put some points up. Robbie Rhodes, a ringleader down here, has been here for 3 years. And, boy, he does a great job from his outside linebacker. Played a little strong safety in 2001, so he's quite an athlete.
3rd down for Curtis now, and we got a flag on the play. And I don't think he got it off in time. And it is a delay. That'll set up a 3rd down and about 11. So now Curtis putting themselves in a bit of a hole. And remember, the last time they had a big 3rd and 6, Chris Jackson took it down the sidelines for 54 yards. So this Curtis offense, explosive. They got plenty of weapons.
They just reload, and Chris Jackson, you know, Chris Jackson, we'll talk a little bit about this, as you well know. Not only is he going to play football at LSU, he's an outstanding baseball player. In fact, the Texas Rangers, Diamondbacks, among others, are major league teams that may look at him as a very high draft pick.
3rd and 11, draw play. That's Bush, and he's not going to get it. Again, that was Robbie Rhodes with the big play, number 13 from his linebacker spot, and it's going to be 4th down and about 7 or 8.
And you can see that the momentum has swung over to the defensive unit for the Shaw Eagles. And, boy, hurry up, a la Frank Kersey.
And they rush the punt team on and get the kickoff. And not much of a return as Stephen Dufour, number 1, taken down immediately.
Great job by Derek Cothran. And Shaw Eagles are deep in their own territory, but did a good job of holding Curtis on the last series.
Curtis, outstanding special teams all the time. That's consistently J.T. Curtis emphasizes that so much, and they always do a terrific job there with the punt coverage. And we're back on offense now for Shaw from about their own 19-yard line. Rachel, I formation behind him. And the pitch to Johnson, nowhere to go. And big number 60. With the stop, that's Mike Snyder, the inside linebacker, and Johnson just didn't have a chance on that one.
And Snyder is another guy, 3.6 grade point average. He's at middle linebacker, very much in the mold of a Vic Valoria, who's over at SMU right now, who is, by the way, a Butkus and a Lombardi candidate. But, you know, Oklahoma State, Memphis, LSU, Tulane, a lot of schools like that are looking at Mike Snyder, 6'2", 225. Good pass drops. UAB is another one. But watch those wide receivers. You have to respect the wide receivers of the Shaw Eagles, and I'm just waiting for Rochelle to air it out to one of those guys and open up that defense just a little bit.
Rochelle with 4 wides and Johnson in the backfield with him. 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Rochelle looking low. He's got his man. That's Eric France. France fighting for yards, and he'll get a few. He'll pick up about 3, maybe 4 in the play, but it's still going to be a long 3rd and 8 for Shaw.
But, you know, the thing is, Doug, you have to open it up a little bit, and that was a good play. It didn't get a lot of yardage, but it makes Curtis cognizant of the fact that they're going to pass. You may see him throw deep. Even if it's incomplete, it'll give a little cushion and get those defensive backs thinking deeper, and it's going to open up the running game a little bit.
That's definitely the goal. 3rd down now and about 8. Big play here for Shaw. Down 14-7, 8:20 to go, 2nd quarter. Rachel got a little time, and he is going to air it out. And his man has it. What a play on the other end. That's Orenta Giroux with the catch on the other end, and he just separated. In the last 10 yards, he went and got that one, Renee.
You hit it on the head. Great separation, 4.5 speed, and Giroux, a 6'2", 183-pounder, just really came down with it, Doug, and he just separated himself from the defensive back and just dove, got away from Cothran. Good, it was good coverage, but great completion, and Rachel, it shows what kind of arm strength he has. You know, they say, Coach Bainsfather said he can air it out about 70 yards. That wasn't 70 yards, but you got to respect his arm strength.
And Rachel, with the ultimate confidence in his receiver, throws it up, and Giroux went and got it. First down now at the Curtis 39-yard line. Johnson off the right side. He's going to get a couple. He fights to about the 37. Got maybe a yard, maybe two on that one.
Kind of hunting and pecking as he's running there. And I was watching, among others, on the stop along with Chris Bua. And, you know, Chris Bua is another one. We talked about his brother being in Arkansas. Arkansas is one of the schools looking at him. LSU, Tulane, UAB, Memphis, and Ole Miss are looking at the 6'1", 220-pound senior. Negotiates to 40 and 4.7. And, Doug, he's been a great athlete, very much in the mold of his brother Tony.
Second and about 8. Rachel back to pass, and he's got some pressure on him. And then big number 97, Cornell Stewart, will drag him down, although at that point he did gain a couple. Rochelle was looking downfield, just didn't have the chance to get it off.
And you can see as Stewart kind of collapses the pocket a little bit here. Coming in from the outside is Oakwan, and big Stewart, 6'6", 300-pounder with 4.7 speed. He closes the gap pretty closely, and Stewart is really, really highly recruited by a bunch of colleges, and he's looking outside of the state, more so inside, but he's going to make someone a great catch. Big 6'6", 300-pounder.
4 wides, Rachel with the quarterback draw. He's got some room to the outside. He cuts back. He's got the first, and he'll take it down to about the 20-yard line, and that's what he can do. Tony Suarez, the free safety, finally brings him down, but that's Rachel in the open field in space, and he's a terrific player.
And yeah, and this is what Coach Curtis and his staff are very fearful of, because he can break containment and get outside pretty quickly in pursuit. He runs away from pursuit, and Suarez makes the stop, but not before he gains first down territory. And you can see that the Shaw Eagles, since that touchdown recovery, it's really the momentum has swung over, and their confidence is really boosted up, and this is a totally different game, Doug.
And they're having to figure out different ways to get around that big front three, and they are figuring out. The long pass, the nice run by Rachel, and now they're inside the 20. That's Johnson, and again, nowhere to go against this defense. Fred Holmes with that stop, another of the many names you're going to hear from this Curtis defense.
And Fred Holmes is going to be a big-time recruit in 2003. 6'1", 220-pounder, but he's just one of those guys who comes in occasionally and spells one of the linebackers. You can see since they've opened it up a little bit with some Rachel runs and some passes, the linebackers are giving a little more cushion, and you don't have so many guys in the box anymore, and that's going to open up some trap plays and things like that and get Shaw Eagles some yardage.
High formation, 2 receivers to the top. Rachel rolls to the left. He's got some room, and he does throw it. Oh, and it's dropped. That's Richard Fauché, the tight end, the starting tight end. Wayne Lasserre, you saw him come off hurt. That's Fauché, the backup. Wide open. Rachel put it right on the money, and Fauché could not hold on.
The hardest catches are the easy ones, Doug. And, you know, sometimes those fingertip catches, you have nothing to lose, and you can air it out a little bit and dive for it. But no one feels worse than that young man for dropping that pass. A sure catch, but stops the clock with just about 5 minutes to go here, and Rochelle did a good job moving the team down. It's looking at a third down situation.
Shaw with a time-consuming drive that started deep in their own territory, their best offensive possession so far. 4 wides, 2 to the top, 2 to the bottom. Rachel looking, got pressure, got no one open, and got nowhere to go. 98, Ryan Watson swings him down at about the 27-yard line, and it'll be 4th down for Shaw.
And, you know, the thing is, you can't block those guys one-on-one. Watson, Stewart, and Carter. And that's, you know, Rochelle is really trying to eye his receivers, and he feels the pressure coming from Watson on the inside, and Oakland has kind of shut the door on the outside. Doesn't make the tackle, but Oakland does take away the opportunity to run wide.
4:45 to go, second quarter. Shaw trailing Curtis 14-7. We'll take a break now, and You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20.
Momentum has never lost a game. Shaw has not been doing a great job in running the ball. John Curtis has been shutting him down all day. The offensive coordinator for Shaw has come up with a solution. He's not running the ball real well, so he's going to throw it, and they're doing a darn good job. I mean, they're connected now, and they're not going to rely just on the run, and they're going to play it out and see just what's happening. We got a big decision right now. It's 4th down on Curtis's 18-yard line. This can be, guys, the outturn of the game. I mean, that speed it up or just
Bumps, bruises, strains, and sprains. If your student athlete has a sports-related injury, Kenner Regional Medical Center provides a free sports injury clinic from 9 to 11 every Saturday morning in tenant care in the hospital medical office building. It's on the corner of West Esplanade and Loyola in Kenner. No appointment necessary. Call 464-8700 for more information. Remember, Kenner Regional Medical Center, your sports injury headquarters. 4th down and too far for a field goal, too close to punt, Renee, so Shaw will go for it.
Well, you can bet Rochelle, he's going to look for a hot receiver. Don't know who that is right now, but if he doesn't see someone quickly, he's going to take off and run. But he does have a key receiver right now, hot receiver.
Rachel nowhere to go, and the 4th down ends quickly. Ryan Watson gets to him, throws him down, and Curtis will take over at their own 33-yard line. Ryan Watson, one of the big three up front. They've been making plays for a quarter and a half now, and another huge one there.
Another good play here. If they just stuff it, Snap kind of took him out of sync a little bit there, but he had nowhere to go as Watson, as the linebackers dropped in their coverage and took away anything slanting across the middle, and the defensive lineman just took over control and made the stop in the backfield. And now the Patriots, with 4:40 to go, great defensive effort, gives them the ball in decent field position.
Chris Jackson with Robertson, Bush back on offense. That's Bush, and nowhere to go as Shaw's defense has suddenly played a lot better the last 2 series than it did originally. That's Gifford there underneath that pile with another good play.
And I can see the Curtis Patriots, although, as we said, they're only going to pass the ball probably 6 or 8 times. I can suspect he may be opening up for one of those things. They don't pass very often, but, you know, JT passes like Haley's Comet. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but he doesn't have to pass very often. But Chris Jackson has some good receivers, and I can see him trying to pass just to kind of loosen up, because they've been running the ball with some success. It's kind of haven't had as much success in the second quarter as it was the first.
2nd and 8. That's Bush getting about 3 maybe right off right guard again. They keep going behind Savan. They've had a lot of success going there, and they will have a lot of success. But on that play, they got about 3. So now a 3rd and 5. Big play here. Shaw with a chance to get it back and give Rachel some time. Still 3:40 to go in the first half.
You know, we talk about the great offensive linemen that the Curtis Patriots have, very highly recruited, but you got a couple of guys in the middle there that key figures, Jeff Robertson, the center, and Philip Sprunk. They're probably not going to play college football, but they are everything that embodies a high school player. Plays everything they have, a little undersized, but a big, big reason for the success for the Curtis Patriots, and they typify high school football, what it's all about.
And Heath Roberts will not get the first down. He'll come up about 2 yards shy as Roberts goes right up the gut. They get about 3. So it's going to be 4th down and 2, and it looks like Curtis is going to set up for the punt. Now, remember, they will wait until the last possible second, then run the punt team directly on. Here they come. Curtis has to kick it away. So Shaw with a huge defensive stop. And Shaw has to call a timeout. They are not ready for the punt as Curtis beats him onto the field. Jackson, of course, the quarterback, is also the punter. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. When you need a lift, call Prime Equipment Company at 348-2841. Shaw hanging in this game.
Yeah, and you know, again, that I cannot say how big, how huge that defensive touchdown was for the Shaw Eagles. It's changed the momentum of the game. It's given them confidence. Curtis has never really done anything, and he done any damage offensively since that touchdown run back by the Shaw Eagles. And their offensive charge, the Shaw Eagle offense has really picked up a notch since that time as well.
Shaw has played a much better football game since that play on all sides of the ball, offense, defense, and special teams. And they're back in this game. It's 14-7. They're going to get the ball back. 2:50 to go in the first half. So they will have a little bit of time to work with.
You know, Doug, I know he can't hear us right now, but I'm dying for him during the course of this season, for Nate Singleton to tell us about when he used to run those hills with Jerry Rice. And you've heard about it before. There was that famous hill Jerry Rice used to run. He used to burn people out. Nate Singleton used to run it with him. And hopefully one day he'll tell us about it. Former teammate for the San Francisco 49ers.
And a delay of game on Curtis as they're running guys on and off the field. The 5 yards won't make a lot of difference in the punt. They'll take it back now to their own 37-yard line where Chris Jackson, again, he's the outstanding quarterback, punter, kicker, shortstop for Curtis. He's already committed to LSU where he figures to be a terrific player for the Tigers.
Well, he had 6 home runs, 6 round trippers, Doug, 475 batting average. And again, they're looking at him as being a high draft choice, but he does want to play baseball and football in college. And, you know, Nick Saban recruited. Remember, Nick played baseball and football for Kent State.
And Jackson can definitely do both. He is good enough, that's for sure. Shaw with the fair catch deep in their own territory. David Basie and the sophomore makes the catch. They're inside their own 20. Now you got a decision, Renee. Do you actually put it up with 2:42 to go when you're in the game inside your own 20, or do you play with conservative at this point and get to halftime?
I think Rochelle's going to see his hands on the ball quite often. And Brandon Jack, you may see the running backs with them, hopefully with some running room, but I can't see Shaw opening up too much. But, you know, they have the weapons to move down the field, and 2 minutes and 42 seconds is an awful lot of time.
Although if you're going to give it to somebody, you like to see Rochelle being the guy that can make a play because he can turn a little into a lot. First down, own 18, I formation, split receivers. That's Johnson picking his way for maybe 3 to about the 21, 22-yard line. Mike Oquan again on the stop. Oquan has just been incredibly active in this game so far.
And, you know, he's not being really looked at anyone, again, because he tore up a knee in 2001, but he's very intense and his attitude is very infectious. Gives it to Brandon Johnson, bounces it outside. Good block right there on the left side, but that was, in fact, I want to credit that block by Keith Talamo, the 6'3", 240-pound senior left guard, allowed Johnson to break it outside.
And that's Oquan with the tackle, and if he keeps making plays, he's going to get noticed. Back to the I formation. Johnson cuts back inside. He'll get about 3 or 4. Curtis is going to take a timeout. They want the ball back. 1:52 to go in the half. We got a timeout from Curtis. 1:52 to go. John Curtis leading Shaw 14-7. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20. Sprains. If your student athlete has a sports-related injury, Kenner Regional Medical Center provides a free sports injury clinic 9 to 11 every Saturday morning in Tenant Care. That's in the hospital medical office building. It's on the corner of West Esplanade and Loyola in Kenner. No appointment necessary. 464-8700. Call that for more information. Kenner Regional Medical Center, your sports injury headquarters. 3rd and 3. Big play and a big mistake. Looked like everyone knew the snap count, perhaps except the center, because it looked like all of Shaw moved except the ball on that one.
And Snyder buried him.
So on a 3rd and 3, a very makeable first down.
You know,
and we get a personal foul on Curtis. So we get the motion, but then a personal foul afterwards.
It had to be a late hit.
I think it was on Snyder's 60. But what would have been a 3rd and 8 for Shaw is now going to be a first down. It would have been a 3rd and 8 back at about their 22. Now it's going to be a first down up at about the 35. So a huge break for Shaw.
It was a late hit, and, you know, you get going, the juices get flowing a little bit. Kind of hard to hold back, but you can bet that the player who committed the foul will be addressed by the coaches.
It did look like a good call on the personal foul. It was a hit clearly after the whistle was blown. So Shaw now with the first down at their own 35. They have a minute and 47 to put something together. They're down 14-7 in what has turned out to be a good ball game. Ray Shell with the eye behind him, 2 receivers to the top of the screen, and it looked like a busted play, and guess who's in there on top of him? Mike Oquan with yet another play from his linebacker spot.
And Mike is just blowing from the outside, and you know that outside linebacker position is like a monster position. It's like a strong safety that plays close to the line of scrimmage. Boy, I tell you what, because a guy who plays that position has to be a good in drops and rush the passer, and he's doing an outstanding job. Low part defensive end, and Mike Oquan has done a great job, as well as Mike Heil from the other side, just hasn't had his number called quite as much.
And looked like a Rachel bobbling the ball, was trying to get it to his fullback, couldn't, and then Oakland was there to stuff him. Johnson, nowhere to go, picks his way. He'll get maybe a yard, probably not even that much. Mike Snyder, on that stop, and it's going to be 3rd down and long for Shaw. Curtis takes a timeout with 59 seconds now to go in the first half.
We're talking about some of these multi-sport athletes. Snyder right there is a pretty good catcher, enough to get interest from UNO, ULL, and Tulane, as his catching did a great job helping the John Curtis Patriots capture yet their 6th baseball state championship. Good luck right there at J.T. Curtis.
JT's team has the lead. It's 14-7, under a minute to go in the first half. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week, WHNO TV 20. Doug Mouton, Renee Nato, and Nate Singleton on the sidelines at Joe Yenny Stadium. John Curtis and Shaw, the Eagles now. JT Curtis's team with the 7-point lead, but hoping to get the ball back. And they called a timeout there with 59 seconds, not just to get the ball back for the offense, but to maybe give Cortez another shot on a punt return. He's been dynamite so far. 3rd down and long, about 15 to go for Shaw. And they'll go back to the I formation. This is Rochelle with 2 receivers, and he's going to give it off to Johnson, and Johnson down quickly. 42, Cody DeMack with the stop at junior, and Shaw will have to punt.
And DeMack, another one of those linebackers that'll step up when Snyder and Bula exit next year, and DeMack just a junior, 6'2", 220. He'll be a 2003 recruit. Pretty good cleanup hitter for Coach Johnny Curtis's Patriot baseball team.
Jonathan Solomon is the punter, and they're going to wait and let this clock run. They're at 30 seconds and counting. Curtis opting to save their last timeout, but it looks like Cortez or Derek Cochran, 28, to get one more shot at it. We're at 20 and counting. Shaw's going to take it down and use all of it. They then take a timeout with 12 seconds to avoid the delay of game. So 12 seconds to go in the half. They will have to punt it away, and Curtis may get one offensive play after that. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more. For commercial and industrial contracting, when you need a lift, call Prime Equipment Company at 348-2841. The WHNO High School Game of the Week is brought to you in part by Academy Sports, AAA Trophies, Prime Equipment, Coca-Cola, Kenner Regional Medical Center, ITT Technical Institute, and WHNO Sports.
If I can throw a trivia question at you, Doug, and this isn't fair because we didn't talk about it, but they had 2 former Shaw Eagles on NFL rosters, 2 former Curtis Patriots, although 1 IR. 2 Curtis, 2 Shaw players are now on NFL rosters. We'll give you a little time to think about it and see if you can come up with the answer.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to.
The Shaw guys are DBs. They'll give you a hint.
Oh, the high snap goes over the head. Cortez rushing the punter, and the punter will not be able to get away. Jonathan Solomon down inside his own 15-yard line. The bad snap. Jason Cortez not on the return, but on the rush, and he gets to him quickly.
And this is something that Shaw can ill afford to have happen. The Patriot offense doesn't need much time to get into the end zone, and this is giving them the ball at the 13-yard line of Shaw. And this is power football. A couple of opportunities. Of course, with 3.5 seconds, and they only have 1 shot. They're going to go for the field goal, which is very smart.
And Chris Jackson will kick it. Yeah, with a 7-point lead, this puts you up by 2 scores. Although he's from the far right hash, this will be a 31-yarder. Jackson, that is well within his range.
He's got 52-yard range, Doug.
And he figures to get stronger at LSU, and the kick has plenty of distance and right between the goalposts. And so now at halftime, John Curtis takes the 17-7 17-7 lead on the last play of the first half. Renee, how huge is that punt? And really, it wasn't so much the rush, it was a bad snap. Now, all of a sudden, instead of a 7-point halftime lead, you got a 10-point halftime lead and a whole different ball game at halftime.
And Shaw was playing very solid offensively and defensively and staying within 7 out of his 10 points. Doesn't sound like very much, but in a game as it appears to be, Doug, this could be huge. Now you have 2 scores, and this could be big as the game wears on. And this could be a game of far below the point output that we anticipated as the game started.
Down to Nate Singleton on the sideline. Nate?
Coach, at the end of the half, real quick, talk to us about the bad play that cost us you to go up down 17-7.
Yeah, you know, with the mistakes we made in the first half, we'd have been very pleased going in the half. Down 14-7. We tried to get the punt off at the end. They didn't have very much time left, and we had a bad snap that went over his head. And thank God they only had 3 seconds left. They only came away with 3. Hopefully we can regroup in the second half.
Yeah, Coach, it looks like the running game wasn't going too well. But then you made an adjustment and you started to throw the ball really, really well. Will we see some more passing the second half?
Yeah, hopefully we get a little more aggressive, come out and throw the ball some, complete some passes if we can protect. They got some big guys up front, and we got to do a good job protecting. In the second half, we're going to throw the ball.
All right, thanks, Coach. Good luck.
All right, thanks, Nate. And, yeah, that will be the key. Trying to beat those big 3 up front have been horrible on Shaw tonight. We're going to take a break now. It's halftime, 17-7, John Curtis over Shaw. You're watching WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week, WHNO TV 20. Singleton back at Joe Yenny Stadium in Metairie. John Curtis 14-7 halftime lead over the 17-7 halftime lead over the Shaw Eagles. They got the late field goal to make it 17-7. In the first half, not a lot of first downs. Curtis with 4, Shaw with 3. You see the passing yards for Curtis 0. That's because they didn't throw a pass. Did 120 yards on the ground. Shaw 67, but the 2 Curtis turnovers, one of them resulting in a Shaw touchdown, and that has kept Shaw in the game, and they will get the ball back right now to start the second half.
Yeah, but you know, you hear a game of 2 halves. This is a game of 2 quarters. All of Curtis's damage was done in the first quarter. Everything Shaw did, 67 yards, 52 of those yards came on a 1 pass, but it came in the second quarter. So it was Shaw's quarter. If this was a boxing match, the second round went to the Eagles. The first round went to the Curtis Patriots.
And then the big muffed snap on the punt, which leads to the 1-play Curtis drive, just a field goal that Chris Jackson knocks through, and all of a sudden it's 17-7. Jackson now to kick off to start the second half. All the kicks so far into the end zone, all non-returnable. Such a weapon from the quarterback, punter, kicker, shortstop. And Shaw starts now at their own 20.
And you know who he reminds me of, and you may concur, somebody that you're familiar with. Last time I saw a guy with leg strength of this sort that went to the next level and ironically went to the LSU Tigers was Wade Richard.
Good analogy.
He's now kicking in the NFL.
Absolutely. First down now, and they will come out in their throwing set. They've run the I, and they've also run this set. This is 5 wides with Rachel by himself. Now, the one thing you know, he's going to have to get it off quickly because the rush has been on him fast, and he does. It's a quick snap pass. That's Giroux, and he will get the first down. And Renee, good start to the second half. You expect to see a lot more of that from Shaw in the second half, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he just ran a quick stop route right in front of the cornerback. Had a little cushion, so not much chance of the DB coming up and picking it off. He ran what he appeared would be a streak route and stopped real quick. And nice reception, pickup of about 5 yards, and they're moving, make that a first down rather, a nice little pickup of 10 yards. And this is what the Shaw Eagles need, methodically moving down the field and giving what the Patriot defense gives them.
4 wides now with Brandon Johnston in the backfield. Quarterback draw, got a little room for Michelle. He is stuffed down there by Mike Heidel, the linebacker, but he did get a pickup of about 3 or 4, and that'll sort of keep the pass rush honest. That's sort of the job of that play, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and Rachel is a weapon, and the thing that we talked about, the Patriot defense is very aware of what he can do with his feet. You know, once he breaks contained, he is a dangerous runner with 4.6 speed, and he reads on the run. He picks up things because of his versatility and his mental capacity of what is far ahead of many quarterbacks and what he can do.
Rachel now with the second and about 6 from his own 34-yard line. First drive of the second half. Big rush from the backside. He gets it off a little behind his man, Stephen Dufour. Dufour can't make the tackle because Rachel was getting whacked in the backfield.
That was the full rush with 7 men coming off the line of scrimmage. Only have 5 blockers and too many bodies. And Mike Oakland does get to Rochelle and knock the pass away. So it's a 3rd down and about 6 yards to go.
Oakland, another huge play, Renee. We have called his name all night.
He's going to have a bushel full of tackles. He's going to be in double digits if he's not already there. But he does a good job and floats around, does a good job from his outside linebacker position.
Back to the I formation on 3rd and 6. Rachel will throw. He's got some time, and he's got Giroux, and it looks like it went through his hands. Looks like he should have, or certainly could have, caught it, but instead, it goes incomplete, and Shaw's going to have to punt.
And Watson with the heat, number 98, as he releases the ball right here, you won't see it. Bang, he took a shot, and he stayed strong in the pocket and reached the ball, and Giroux should have had it incomplete. So a punting situation for the Eagles.
Good pass from Rochelle, and J.T. Curtis's team gets a break. And now in punt return, they are so dangerous. Cothran and Cortez, the 2 defensive backs that play deep, and another bad snap over the punter's head. The ball rolls inside the 5. He's going to throw it up for grabs, and he's got a man, but it goes incomplete. A wild play. Jonathan Solomon, the punter, looking to hit Nicholas Amon, but it goes incomplete, and now Curtis will take over at the Shaw 34-yard line.
Don't know how far he would have run because a defender was coming up, fast approaching. As you may see this on this shot here from the sideline, from the end zone, as the punter is trying to look, fire, throwing the ball up, just hoping they can answer a prayer here. As you can see, well, he was not in camera, but a Curtis defender was close by, so don't know how much further he would have gone.
So Curtis with another big special teams play, although it was more of a Shaw mistake than a big Curtis play, but they'll take it at the 34 now. Shaw, that's Bush, and we have a whistle. Curtis back on the offensive again. 120 yards on the ground for Curtis in the first half. They have yet to throw their first pass, and they'll go back 5. It'll be 1st and 15 now. Back at the Shaw 39. Curtis, another break and a chance to really maybe put this one further away.
You know, we talked a little bit about... Go ahead.
And let's send it down to our 3rd man now, Nate Singleton on the sideline. Nate?
Coach Brand's father after halftime, he said special team had to play a very, very important part to this game. Okay, this is the 2nd time that the center-punter exchange has been bad. Now the center has snapped the ball over his head, and this is going to cost him again. John Curtis have the ball in Shaw territory. If they can capitalize now in the 3rd quarter where the score is already John Curtis 17, Shaw 7, this game may be over early.
And again, Scott Bainsfather cannot afford mistakes like that one against what is an excellent John Curtis football team. This school has 17 state championships, J.T. Curtis does, and this is one of his better teams.
Yeah, it's a shame because the Shaw Eagles can ill afford any kind of miscues, especially against a team like this. In a tight game like this, you can't give away points, though.
Chris Bush ran for 9 on first down, 2nd and 6, and getting a few tough yards in there. That's Jeremy Mott with his first carry of the game. He'll take it close to the first down.
And I like what Mott did just now, waiting for the block to set up. Just a little veer off left tackle. Waiting for his blocks to set. Good block up there is a trap block from the left guard pulling. And excellent block. We were talking a little bit, I had a chance, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jerry Savan, number 55, the right guard who committed to LSU. He had a chance to Colorado, Nebraska, Florida State, Tulane, Michigan. A lot of schools wanted him. But we mentioned he does a 440 bench, 47-foot shot put, 2nd in the state in wrestling. He is the total package. He'll do a great job for the Tigers.
And on a 3rd and 1, a big play, Chris Bush powers his way over. They come back with the starting running backs with Roberts and Bush on a 3rd and 1, and Bush over left guard powers past Lewis Thomas to get the first down.
And Lewis Thomas just rode that bull down. He held on to as long as he could and made the tackle, but he got a little piggyback ride from Bush en route to a first down.
Under 9 minutes to go, 3rd quarter, but more importantly, Curtis driving already with a 10-point lead and a chance to really put a big nail in the coffin here. Roberts got some room to the outside. 1 man to beat, and actually he's tackled inside the 5. That's Lewis Thomas coming from behind to get him. Roberts waiting for his blocker. Gets tackled by Thomas. He is close to another first down. Looks like he has another one, and it's going to be 1st and goal for Curtis.
And Heath Roberts just power running right here. Runs behind the shoulder pads, and Lewis Thomas just holds on. And this is a free safety who's playing very close to the line like a linebacker. And Lewis Thomas is really playing, is emptying his bucket. You know, Lewis Thomas is a pretty good athlete in his own route. Right, the district and metro triple jump champion with a jump of 48 feet. He's very, very physical, and he kind of reminds you of Henry Johnson, who played here a few years ago, moved on to play for Nicholls State. Good athlete, and it seems like the Shaw Eagles always have those good athletes at defensive back.
First down, that's Kirk Bush getting it close to the 1-yard line. As John Curtis, you give him the short field, and this is sort of what happens. The mistake on the punt, and then when they have 34 yards to go for a touchdown, they're frequently going to get it.
Speaking of which, I haven't got one answer on the trivia question. 2 former defensive back Eagles are now in the NFL. 2 former Patriots, one on IR. One is a running back, one defensive back. Guys that you'd certainly familiar with.
We're going to tease you until the 4th quarter with that one. Under 8 minutes to go. That's Roberts. Got a little room, and he bowls his way into the end zone. Darren Siebert hit him before he got to the goal line. Heath Roberts would not be stopped. He's in the end zone for the touchdown, and it's 23-7. Curtis in the 3rd quarter now.
And the 5'11", 200-pound Heath Roberts bowls his way, explodes into the end zone, as you can see, running behind his shoulder pads again. This is what he's good at. It collides right there with Darren Siebert, the middle linebacker with the Shaw Eagles, but he had momentum going, and he's running downhill into the end zone. The extra point upcoming, 7:44 to go, and the extra point would make it a 24-7 Curtis lead.
And Curtis, 3 of their scores set up by special teams plays. The big kickoff return to start the game that resulted in the touchdown. The first bad snap that got a field goal, and then that bad snap that Curtis gets a touchdown. They take advantage of your mistakes, and now John Curtis up 24-7. 7:44 to go in the 3rd quarter. Shaw needs a big play in the worst way. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20.
You have no drops at all. What does she want? Well, she had a dog flying. That's
7:44 to go in the 3rd quarter. The John Curtis side happy because the Patriots have the 24-7 lead over Shaw. Curtis taking advantage of some special teams mistakes from Shaw. And for Shaw to stay in this game, Renee, you knew they had to play maybe not a perfect game, but they certainly couldn't be giving special teams plays to Curtis, and that's exactly what they've done.
Well, you know, their only touchdown came on a defensive effort, and they need to have a little more explosion and success offensively. They did have a 52-yard pass from Rochelle to Giroux in the 2nd quarter, but Rochelle has basically been kept in check. The running backs have been kind of silent, but they need to air it out and have a little Lady Luck has to smile on the Shaw offense.
Chris Jackson on kickoff number 5. The first 4 have all resulted in touchbacks. So guess what's going to happen here? Jackson sends this one maybe further than any of the others. It lands out of the back of the end zone. LSU Tiger fans can get used to that because you'll start seeing that next fall. And Shaw takes over at their own 20. 80 yards to go. Carlos Rachel, a lot of room to go. Scott Bainsfather, you know he's going to get things going here at Shaw. He's got a good quarterback. He did a terrific job at Holy Cross. But just behind the 8 ball now against John Curtis.
Well, he's following in, you know, a gentleman, Hank Tierney, that was here for 19 years and had so much success and not as expected of this Shaw Eagle program. But you're right, he's going to have to kind of pick up the pieces and move forward, and he will. He'll always get a lot of support at Shaw.
And Rachel rolling, nowhere to go, but he avoids the rush, gets a pass off, and it goes incomplete. And Renee, you talk about the Catholic League this year, and it's a good time maybe. 5 new coaches, Scott Bainsfather, one of them. 5 new coaches. I think you might have Jesuit. It's only his 2nd year. Really a total turnover. This may not be the same dominant Rummel team. Shaw maybe not down a little. St. Aug may be down a little. Jesuit maybe. It's a wide open year, isn't it?
It is. Richard Williams over at De La Salle and Tyrone Payne at St. Aug, Wade Kaiser at Brother Martin, Barry Wilson at Holy Cross. You got a lot of guys, and they're gonna put their system in, and it's gonna take a little adjustment for the players. So you got a lot of, and there's no dominant team in the Catholic League this year.
Although you'd have to say Rummel's the team to beat until someone beats them. They've kind of earned that. Rachel rolling right, nowhere to go. He just could not outrun a speedy defense. Chris Bua making a tackle. And Rachel's fast, but you're talking about a lot of guys on defense who can all run.
Yeah, and Bua is another one of those guys. He's about a 4'6", 40, 4'7", 40. And, you know, the thing about Bua, not only is he a good, and you can see right here, he kind of closed the gap. Great pursuit on the, and look, Bua, he draws a beat on him, and that, again, very much like his brother Tony, who's playing up in Arkansas. Chris Bua, not only is he excel on the football field, he was 10-0 as a pitcher with a 1.95 ERA. I come up with some stuff, Doug.
That's exactly what you need out of your linebacker. 3 receivers to the top, 1 on the bottom. Rachel rolling left, looking to make something happen. Got a little bit of room, he's got some space, and he's got a man. And it's a first down. Rachel showing some presence, checked off, and then found Eric France with a first down. Terrific play there. Maybe his best play of the game from the senior quarterback.
And he's throwing across the bow here. You can see this is a, look right here, turned, and that is a very difficult throw to make. Right there, and he hits Brandon Johnson for the catch, and that's a very athletic move. He had to kind of collect himself. He didn't have time to set up and plant his foot and throw. And Mark him a good quarterback. You know, a couple of teams that are looking at him as a quarterback, Tulane and UL Monroe, have definitely offered him a scholarship. First as a quarterback. If it doesn't work out, he'll go to DB. But with his athletic ability, he'll excel on either side of the ball.
And then Rachel on the quarterback draw is slammed down by Bua. Rachel with a terrific play on that last play, but it's hard against a team, especially a defense as talented as Curtis, when your primary weapon is just your quarterback.
It is, and it's come to that because of he's the most exciting weapon they have at this point. And Brandon Johnson has done a pretty good job, and it's a shame they can't get Giroux more involved because he had a great catch here in the second quarter. If they can get a little more involved and get those receivers, and they need to open it up a little more with the receivers and make the Curtis defense a little more honest.
3 wides to the bottom, 2 to the top. He gets the shot off, and that's Giroux. He'll get close to the first down, but he won't quite get it. He'll get to about the 38-yard line. Actually, it's only a gain of about 3 or 4. Still looks like 3rd and about 2 for Shaw.
Yeah, he's a couple of yards shy, and Giroux, they were just quick on him on defense and didn't allow him to break free. But Giroux is a big target, 6'2", a senior, and he's kind of asserting himself, and hopefully he'll have an opportunity to play at the next level. He had 4 catches last week in a contest, Shaw.
Giroux is coming on. One of the kids to watch maybe in the next couple of months. 3rd down now and about 2 out of the I formation. 1 receiver to each side. Rachel gives it to Johnson, and he's stuffed and he fights, but it doesn't look like he got it. Looks like he's going to be about a half a yard short. So it sets up a big 4th down on a decision for Scott Bainsfather. Obviously, you need the first down. You got to get some points to get back in this game.
And that's Carter, and did not see the other. It was a linebacker, one of the interior linebackers that made the stop. And it's going to be 4th. They have to go for this.
They will. It looks like they will. 4th down, about a half a yard, unless they're just going to try to draw them upside. But they will go for it. 2 tight ends, I formation. Nearly got Curtis to jump, and they did. They did get Curtis to jump offside. So a big break now. That was Oakwan a little anxious on the right side. Or was he drawn off? No, it is on Oakwan. Oakwan comes up. Oakwan tricked me on that one because he started jumping around and pointing. But it was Oakwan who jumped up. So Shaw gets the break and gets the first down at their own 45.
Sometimes that intensity can backfire, and Mike has done a great job from his outside linebacker position and may have stepped in the neutral zone just now and threw the penalty and gives the Shaw Eagles new life.
It's hard to get too angry at Oakwan. He's played an outstanding game. I formation, 1 wide receiver to each side. Rachel play action. He's going to throw. He's looking for Giroux. Couldn't find him. And he breaks a tackle in the backfield, and there he goes. Inside the 50 to the 45. First down at the 42. That's what Rachel can do. He got away from Cornell Stewart, took off, made a move in the open field, and got 13 big yards for Shaw.
They say he's the smartest quarterback ever at Shaw, and that says a lot going back to John Fourcade, Mickey Guidry and company. But he sees a lot of things, and he's making good decisions on the run here. Good head fake right there. And he's got a little bit of a Derek Joseph, Vance Joseph. It compares favorably to Vance Joseph, and you see a lot of that in his performance.
From the 42-yard line now, back to 3 wide to the top, 1 at the bottom. Brandon Johnson in the backfield with Carlos Rachel. And it's a draw play fake. Rachel avoids the first man, but cannot avoid number 60, Mike Snyder. Just too many Patriots in the backfield for Rachel. He made the first guy miss, but then the second guy came right at him. We're going to send it back down on the field to Nate Singleton. Nate?
Players tonight for John Curtis, after talking with Coach Curtis, is Carnell Stewart. He's 6'6", 300 pounds. He's a defensive tackle. He has to play really well tonight, and on that particular play was a third down situation for Shaw. He beat his man, and he came, and he was there to make a big play, but he just didn't make it. So he has to step up and continue to play big tonight.
Rachel avoids the rush, gets it to Brandon Johnson. That one, nowhere to go. Jason Cortez with a big stop after the catch on Johnson. It's actually going to go for a loss, but just nowhere to go. Rachel, no time, and then once he completed it, nowhere for Johnson. Third and long.
Yeah, that was kind of a Joe Cap play. You know, he improvised. Rachel had no way to go with it, looking for receivers. And to keep your composure and look for potential receivers is a mark of a very smart quarterback. And that's what he is. And he was bottled up and quickly made a decision to hit Brandon Johnson. Didn't have a chance to check and see where the defensive players were, but didn't equate it to any kind of long gain. Looking at 3rd 14, and this is going to be a key play for the Shaw Eagles.
Third down, and yeah, it's a 14, 15 yards now for Shaw. They have to get it to about the 32-yard line, and Rachel's going to throw it up. He's looking for Giroux, and he overshoots his man, and it is picked off by Courtney Favorite inside the 10-yard line. So John Curtis's defense, the defense is pitching a shutout, and they turn Shaw away again.
Well, Favorite had 6 picks in 2001. He's got one right here. But this is not bad, Doug. This is as good as a punt. And so, you know, it gets them back course. They were looking for Giroux, and Favorite made the play great. Got between the ball and the defender and made the interception. But you know, right now you're looking at 95 yards to go for the Patriots, and this Shaw at least has as good as a punt.
As good as a punt, and it doesn't seem like a bad move on a 3rd and 15 to give Giroux a chance to make a big play. And they gave him the chance, although he wasn't able to get to that ball. Now, Chris Jackson, 2 backs behind him. That is Bush fighting his way to about the 10-yard line. Looks like he got about 5 on first down as we go under 2 minutes in the 3rd quarter. And J.T. Curtis is going to be happy to run the clock and run the ball right at Shaw. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. When you need a lift, call Prime Equipment Company at 348-2841. 2nd and 5 now at their own 10-yard line. Long field to go. Jackson keeps nobody on the right side, and he takes off. He's over the 30, over the 40, out of bounds. Pushed out by Lewis Thomas. Chris Jackson with a 35-yard pickup out to his own 45-yard line. Second time they've run that. Second time it's been good for a huge gain.
Great play faking right here, and he takes off with that 4.5 speed, shooting down the sidelines. Doug, and Lewis Thomas is the one that made the touchdown-saving tackle as he pushed out Chris Jackson. But nice pickup, gets him out of the shadow of their end zone out to the 45-yard line, and this is a little more breathing room for the Patriot offense.
Bush and Roberts behind Jackson on the option. That's Bush. Almost got to the outside. We will have a penalty on the play. Bush 1 step away from breaking that one long, but there is a flag, and it was thrown in the area of where you'd expect offensive holding. Lewis Thomas coming up limping on that play. Shaw cannot afford to be without their free safety. He has made a ton of plays for the Shaw defense. He's gimpy on the field. You see him, number 17. But this flag will probably go against Curtis. The Patriots are backing up right now.
Well, Lewis Thomas has LSU, Tulane, Louisiana Tech, Northeast, Louisiana, Northwest, and McNeese among his suitors. Last year, he had 7 tackles against St. Aug and a couple of pass breakups and a fumble recovery. So he is all over the field. He plays sideline to sideline, and the defense would be in dire strait without Lewis Thomas.
Let's send it back down to Nate on the sidelines. Nate?
One of the key things to John Curtis' success and Coach J.T. Curtis, they take very, very seriously to be fundamentally sound. You know, after each play, you can see the coaching staff, they get their guys together, and they get them on the sideline to make sure everyone is doing their job correctly. So I think that's one of the key points to the success of John Curtis. Again, guys, we're talking about 17 state titles.
Yeah, that's very correct. And this team certainly has the talent to compete for number 18. That was Jeremy Mott, the sophomore, with another good pickup. Sent him about second down at about 8. We're under the last 5 seconds of the quarter. Jackson may or may not get the play off. He will get it off, and he runs to Roberts, who gets inside Shaw territory. It'll be about a 3rd and 4, but Curtis adds a touchdown to their halftime lead. It's now 24-7 John Curtis after 3 quarters. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20. 5 now for John Curtis as we start the 4th quarter. Trying to keep the ball away from Shaw. Jackson on the naked keeper again, and he takes it inside the 40 for the 3rd time. The play works. He's out of bounds at about the Shaw 30-yard line. Jackson, 3 big carries. He's over 100 yards just on those 3 fake keepers.
And we talked about how dangerous he could be if he just concentrated on being a quarterback only and not a kicker. And great speed, good block down here by Brandon Morales, the tight end. But Chris Jackson, he's just another weapon back there, along with Heath Robertson, Chris Bush, and a running threat, a genuine running threat, as well as a passing threat. We haven't seen him throw very much this game, if at all, but he can air it out.
And that's Jackson airing it out. And it's, incomplete. He just missed his man. We do have a flag. It could be a late hit on the quarterback. That was Curtis's first pass as he looked for John Kent, the senior wide receiver. Kent looks like he should have had it. You see the ball laying right there on his shoulders, and he just couldn't pull it in.
And Kent is certainly a guy you want to go after. He's a state hurdles competitor and very unselfish, and a 6'1" senior with 4.5 speed is certainly a guy you want to look at if you're looking at targets.
And it is 15 yards on Shaw. They certainly couldn't afford that. Takes it down to the 15-yard line now. And it's first down Curtis. Again, this drive started at their own 5. As few schools have a killer instinct like the John Curtis Patriots. They're trying to put this one away right now. Jackson, 4 carries, 111 yards now. And those keepers have come up huge. That one a 3rd and 5 2 plays ago. First down, Robertson, Bush, the running backs, Chris Bush. And that is Bush through a big hole, and he's inside the 10. Lewis Thomas with yet another tackle, but not before Bush got it down to about the 7-yard line.
And he explodes. He's that home run threat along with Heath Roberts. And a gaping hole through the right side again. That is Meyer. Make that Lou and Savan, opening up a gaping hole down to the 7-yard line, and Bush just takes advantage of the huge cavity for a nice pickup of 7 yards. 2nd and 3, Doug, and you can see the Patriots just methodically moving down the field. And that penalty really hurt Shaw.
And that huge offensive line now taking effect. That's what you want to see if you're Curtis in the 4th quarter. Roberts bulls underneath. He'll get a first down as he gets to about the 2-yard line. And when you've got that much weight advantage, and you got players like Savan and Lou and Aaron Meyer, you can wear down defense in the 4th quarter, and it looks like what they're doing right now.
Yeah, great surge off the line of scrimmage, and they're taking control of that line, and because of the huge differential in weight and athletic ability, Curtis has some great athletes up front and opening up some holes from Bush and Robertson. Reno Roberts is not chopped liver either. He's got 10-700 meters along with 4.5 speed, so he and Bush complement each other.
Bush and Bush in the backfield. That's the younger Bush, Kirk, and he is in. Touchdown, John Curtis. Kirk Bush into the end zone, and now it is 30-7, John Curtis early in the 4th quarter.
That was the left side of the line with Sprunk and Aaron Meyer doing a great job taking control of the line of scrimmage as a handoff to Bush as he finds that room as he gets into the end zone for yet another touchdown at the 10-21 mark.
And Chris Jackson back on for the extra point now. 30-7, they're celebrating on the Curtis side. Jackson gets ready for the extra point. Still Shaw with a huge, wide-open district in front of him. This team's got plenty to play for, plenty to work on, plenty to look forward to. But John Curtis just too much early in the season. Chris Jackson gets the extra point. John Curtis commanding lead now 31-7, 10:21 to go in the ball game. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week, WHNO TV. 31-7, fourth quarter. Renee Nato and Doug Mouton, and our third man, we'll send it down to him, Nate Singleton on the sidelines. Nate?
Field position plays a very important part in the football scheme, game plan. And I think tonight Chris Jackson is doing an unbelievable job by always pinning Shaw deep in their territory. This guy's doing an unbelievable job because he's kicking it deep in the end zone on every chance that he gets, guys.
Very true, Nate, and every kick that goes into the end zone is an automatic touchback. It doesn't really matter what happens once it gets there, and Jackson has put every single kickoff into the end zone. Renee, you talk about a killer instinct. That was a 95-yard drive stretching from the third to the fourth quarter to sort of put this one away, maybe.
And I remember saying just a few moments ago that that Shaw interception they threw for an interception was just as good as a punt. The Patriots had 95 yards to go, which they did. With that help, that penalty did certainly assist the Patriots. The Shaw penalty, a late hit, unnecessary roughness, certainly assisted in that drive.
It certainly did, but they also got 75 of it on their own. And that's a little draw play to the fullback, or the backup tailback, Wayne Francisco. Francisco really no place to go. He'll get right about back to the line of scrimmage at the 20. Curtis is just, it's just impossible to move those big guys out of the way, and then the big guys are just totally freeing up the linebackers of Curtis to make plays.
And, you know, we haven't heard much of Gerard Carter, who committed to LSU. He's 6'3", 285. Bench press is 350, but he will become an LSU Tiger. He's already committed and will be up there.
Backside rush gets to Rachel, and he goes down. Terrific play there. Looks like Chris Johnson getting to him from the backside. Yet another different name. Actually, that was Fred Holmes making the tackle as Shaw just going backwards on this possession. Back down to their own 15, third and 15.
Well, you know, in those three, any high school would love to have one of those three linemen, Watson, Carter, or Stewart. And Curtis has three. And JT said he's never seen that much talent on one team in a defensive line before.
He does have a terrific team. Again, pass rush getting to Rachel. He slips away. He's going to try to run, but he's got 2-4 to go. Too many Patriots in front of him as he goes down at about the 24, 25-yard line. Still going to be fourth and about 5 as Carlos Rachel trying to do it all on his own, not getting a lot of time, not having anybody open and having to take off.
Here's the mark of a good athlete. He's trying to make something happen as drawing a beat on him is Cody Demack. But he scooted up for a nice pickup, fourth down. And this is every down is going to be fourth down territory, I guess, for the Shaw Eagles now. They're deep in their own territory, but it's 4th and 5, trailing 31-7 here in the fourth quarter. And
Scott Bainsfather will take a timeout. It's a Shaw timeout as they trail 31-7, but a 4th down and 5 coming up here. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week with WHNO TV 20. Bumps, bruises, strains, or sprains. If your student athlete has a sports-related injury, Kenner Regional Medical Center provides a free sports injury clinic 9 to 11 every Saturday morning in tenant care. That's at the hospital's medical office building. It's on the corner of West Esplanade and Loyola in Kenner. No appointment necessary. Call 464-8700 for more information. Remember, Kenner Regional Medical Center, your sports injury headquarters. Shaw punts it away. That's Cothran getting it from about his own 46, and Shaw stuffs him. We do have a flag. Could have been a face mask on that. But Shaw, with their best punt effort, the last 2 went over the punter's head. So just getting it off is an accomplishment for Shaw. But looks like Curtis is going to get a little extra help with the face mask.
Yeah, and Shaw, again, hurts themselves with a penalty, giving Curtis a little better field position, and that's something that the Patriots are doing on their own. They don't need any help with the Shaw Eagles, as Lewis Thomas discusses it with the officials.
And it is a 15-yarder. It will take the ball down to the Shaw 39-yard line, and you don't need to give Curtis any more help, but they'll get some. And there you see the face mask right there, and that's a good call.
Yes, and you know the officials are going to watch that really closely to avoid any injuries and send the message that you know, Got to steer away from that.
That was Kurt Jackson.
Still waiting for the trivia question, Doug. Your bonus points are going to be all used up if we're on the clock with the trivia question.
Okay, we'll do the trivia question right at the end of this play. And we got a new quarterback in the game. That is number 8 now. That's Jace Guidry. He's also a senior, as he will get some playing time at quarterback now for John Curtis.
And he's employed as a wide receiver normally, but he backs up Chris Jackson, and the 6'2", 190-pound senior does a good job.
Well done job for Chris Jackson, so he is off. All right, we'll start with John Curtis. The first guy you have to know is the big tailback.
Jonathan Wells.
Jonathan Wells, now at the Houston, Texas, a terrific player, went to Ohio State, and now, and your other, Curtis Patriot?
Clarence LeBlanc is an IR with the New York Giants.
And LSU Tiger. And no room up the middle for Curtis, so it'll be 3rd down and about 5. And moving to the Shaw side, a pair of
former Tigers.
A pair of former Tigers.
Ryan Clark with the Giants.
And Torrey James
with the Oakland Raiders. You know, I want to tell you, you and I get to see a lot of high school football. Right now on NFL rosters, there are 26 former high school stars from this area, New Orleans area, on NFL rosters. That speaks highly of the competitive the competition we have and the coaching we have here in New Orleans.
And it's one of the highest levels of any metropolitan area. And the metropolitan areas that are ahead of New Orleans in quantity are the metropolitan areas that have 4 or 5 times the population that we do. And that's Chris Bush now on 3rd down. He will not get it. So now John Curtis with a 4th down, and we'll see if we get to see Chris Jackson with a long one. It looks like we will. It's going to be about 50, and again, this is early in the year, so you might as well try everything, right, Renee? You might as well try the 50-yarder, because at some point during the year, you're going to need it.
And that was a good play by Ricky Laborde, who jams the middle, and this is going to be a 50-yarder by Chris Jackson. He has the leg strength and the range for 52 yards, and you're right, he has nothing. And I've been told by kickers that the long ones are the easiest because you have less pressure.
And he's from the far hash, too. So LSU Tiger fans, watch up. You'll be seeing a lot of this the next 4 years. He gets it off. It's a little low, and he comes up short and a little to the left. You can see maybe he hit a little high going for some extra distance, and he did not get great contact on it. It just didn't have the kind of flight that you knew was going to go through.
Chris Jackson, and again, J.T. Curtis has talked about if he concentrated on just one thing, be it punting, kicking. He had a 44-yarder last week. He had a 52-yarder, I guess back down to 35 earlier. So he has the leg strength if he just concentrated on one thing. And if he concentrated on just being a quarterback, he could be a very good quarterback. And you say kind of small, Herb Tyler was 5'10" for the LSU Tigers, and he is an athlete, as you see his running ability. So who knows what will happen, but he is concentrating on kicking for the Tigers next year.
And playing shortstop. And on the draw play, Brandon Johnson, we will have a holding on the play, it looks, as Johnson with his best run of the day. He went for about 15, but you saw the flag go right into the pile where offensive linemen were, and that can't be good for Shaw. It is a holding. We've got a report. We got a report on Chris Jackson now from Nate Singleton. Let's send it down to Nate on the sidelines. Nate, go.
Chris Jackson, the quarterback kicker for John Curtis, as we found out, has committed to LSU. He just tried a 50-yard field goal. In high school, that is not likely. So we knew we had a key player in this guy, and he has committed to LSU to be a place kicker.
And yes, Jackson will place kick, and again, he'll play shortstop, and he could really be a good team. He could really help the LSU baseball team, too.
And, you know, we talked about this. This is one thing that kind of swayed it. Nick Saban, having played baseball and football at Kent State, understands and is going to allow Chris Jackson to play baseball, and that kind of swayed it a little bit.
Johnson, nice run, but just too many guys coming at him. He'll get about 5. A nifty piece of running as he runs hard on that play. But Curtis, this defense is just so talented. So many Division I prospects on this defense. They're going to give everyone trouble.
Well, Brandon Johnson's doing a pretty good job, and he kind of attacks the defense. Doug, you know, he's going to be a solid performer for the Shaw Eagles this year. 5'11", 185-pound senior. Runs about a 4.65, 4.7 40. Good explosion, good out of his cuts, kind of a inside power runner more. He does have a track background, but he gets out in the open as he displayed some good burst of speed in a couple of plays.
He'll be second and about 16. Rachel throws low, incomplete. It would have only picked up about 4 yards because he was hitting his man who was already had his knees down, so it wouldn't have picked up much.
talked a little bit about Cornell Stewart, that 6'6", 300-pounder. He also excels on the hardwood for Coach Mike Kreitcher's basketball team. Pretty look at some of the cheerleaders, and he has done a good job. It averages in double figures, and will be a force for the Patriot basketball team. Tulane, LSU, Tennessee, Oregon, Iowa State, Kansas State, Colorado, and Southern California are among his suitors.
Rachel on 3rd and long, trying to buy time. He beats about 4 guys. He's got a little time. Now he's going to run. He gets to the outside. He's at the 25, and boy, he nearly made something out of nothing. He still picked up about 10. He's about 3 yards shy of the first down. What an effort by Rachel. He looked like he was stopped 3 or 4 times, but Shaw's still going to have to punt.
He's going to soak in a bucket of, in a tub of ice after this is over. He's really taken some hits and a great athlete.
4th down and about 5. Remember, the player of the game is sponsored by AAA Trophies. That's at 3813 Florida Avenue in Kenner. See the best in championship awards. You can visit AAA Trophies, 467-7384. We will pick the player of the game in a few minutes. And the punt is off. And again, this is Cothran from his own 44-yard line. He comes wide. Breaks a tackle. He gets to the outside. Cothran could go. Down the sideline. He's at the 30. He's at the 21 man to beat. Dragged down inside the 10-yard line. Few teams in high school football anywhere return punts like Curtis. Year after year, they break punt after punt, and they break another one right there. Tony Suarez dragging down Derek Cothran inside the 10.
And you see right here is Derek Cothran just reading his blocks. Good block right there. He had about 4 or 5 outstanding blocks, and tackle here at the end. That was Nicholas Carter for the Shaw Eagles, making the stop and stopping a sure touchdown as Cothran was headed for the end zone. And now they're at the 10-yard line with exactly 4 minutes to go. And the Patriot offense under the direction of new quarterback Jace Guidry.
Guidry with 2 backs and 2 receivers. And it is a touchdown, Curtis. That's number 5, Joey Gildner, the sophomore, getting into the end zone. And that is another touchdown for the John Curtis Patriots, and they just keep hitting you in waves.
And that's about the 6th or 7th ball carrier for the Patriots tonight, and it goes to show the bench strength that the Patriots do have. And it's not a situation that they're trying to run up the score.
No. But when you put sophomores in, it's hard to tell them don't play.
Sometimes you have problems when you put guys who are trying to gain, acceptance with the coaches, gain favor with the coaches, and they're going to show that they should be playing a lot more. So sometimes you run into problems when you put those young fuzzy-cheeked freshmen and sophomores in the game. They can explode and really cause some damage.
And that's one of the reasons J.T. Curtis's program is where it is. He's constantly running in sophomores and freshmen, and he's always got a new crop ready to go when one is done. Chris Jackson stays perfect, 5 for 5 on extra points, 1 for 2 on field goals, and he has put every kickoff out of the end zone. One field goal just a 50-yarder. Hard to fault him for that one. John Curtis up 38-7 now, 4th quarter. You're watching the WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week, WHNO TV 20. You've seen Chris Jackson kick off consistently out of the end zone. That's about the last drama left in this game. Can he put another one in the end zone? It's 38-7, Curtis over Shaw. 4th quarter, Doug Mouton, Renee Nato, Nate Singleton here at Joe Yenny Stadium in Metairie on a hot but nice night for football. It doesn't really matter who's keeping for Shaw because Jackson has been perfect getting the ball in the end zone. The ball gets into the end zone. It's an automatic touchback, and that ball will get 7-8 yards deep into the end zone.
Well, it's about time for the AAA trophy. And because of, I think what this person represents, because of the shutout, if you will, the defense pitch for the Curtis Patriots, Doug, I think that's...
Let's give a couple of runners up first, okay? Chris Jackson, an outstanding game at quarterback for Curtis.
Okay, I concur with that. Jason Cortez.
Jason Cortez, an outstanding job returning kicks. Cornell Stewart, an outstanding job on the defensive line for Curtis. And we've had some big performances.
And Snyder and Bua.
And Carlos Rachel's played well for Shaw. He's been outmanned and hasn't had a lot of chances, but he's made some big plays tonight.
but a guy who really has come on since the opening snap and done a great job really putting pressure on Rochelle and making a lot of stops and also allowing his teammates to make a lot of stops is number 46, Mike Oquan.
Mike Oquan of that Curtis defense has been sort of the ringleader. What's happened tonight is their big guys up front have occupied a lot of linemen. The linebackers have been free to make plays, and Oquan has made a ton of them, particularly in the first half when the defense was pitching a shutout. Oquan was everywhere, and he has consistently stayed ahead and made big plays all game. Remember, exciting football action continues. The WHNO Sports brings you the WHNO High School Game of the Week. Tune in Saturday, September 28th at 3 as Reed takes on McDonough 35 on WHNO TV 20, the only game in town.
And a couple of gray beards, and I mean that in a respectful way. Coach Percy Dewey and Wayne Reese bump heads in that contest. Looking forward. Those are two fine football gentlemen.
Yeah, two good coaches and two good people. Big run now. That's Francisco getting loose in the open field for Shaw on a 3rd and 2. He'll pick up the first down to about their own 43. So now Shaw, still tons to play for. We mentioned this before. This Catholic League is wide open. There's no reason to think Shaw can't compete with the Rummels and the Holy Crosses and the Jesuits in this Catholic League. It's wide open, and there's a lot of things to work on now for Shaw.
And a good hole open up by LeBlanc, Meyer, and Evans Thibodeau, the center.
Francisco again. Leaps over a man, goes down. I think he was down before the fumble. Yes, he was. He gets about 3 as we approach 2 minutes to go in the ballgame. 2:13 and counting right now on what has been an excellent night for the Curtis Patriots.
And I saw some good running by Matthew LeBlanc and Wesley Meyer as they pull out and lead interference around the left side for the running back Wayne Francisco. And, you know, they have the markings of a good team. And a lot of these players that are playing for Shaw right now are starting off fuzzy-cheeked, even though they're seniors, not a lot of experience.
And they won't see a defensive line this big. Well, not this big. The starters are pretty much out now for Curtis, but as big as the line that they were facing. They'll face smaller lines, and after seeing what you've seen tonight, you got to get the ball to Jerome Moore. He's a kid, obviously, with some big playability, and hopefully Brandon Johnson against a defensive line not quite as good as the one they faced tonight will have some more room to run.
And, you know, Stephen Dufour, who we didn't call his name tonight, he's a lot like Gino Gambaluca, who played for Holy Cross last year, is now up at LSU Tigers as a walk-on, and he'll be a weapon for the Shaw Eagles this year.
And that will set up a 4th down, but first, bumps, bruises, strains, or sprains. If your student athlete has a sports-related injury, Kenner Regional Medical Center provides a free sports injury clinic. It's from 9 to 11 every Saturday morning in tenant care. That's in the hospital's medical office building. It's on the corner of West Esplanade and Loyola in Kenner. No appointment necessary. Call 464-8700 for more information. Remember, Kenner Regional Medical Center, your sports injury headquarters. 4th down, Rachel fumbles the ball, and it doesn't matter who recovers because it is Curtis ball right at about midfield. This game is brought to you in part by Prime Equipment Company, distributors of man lifts, tower generators, scissor lifts, and more for commercial and industrial contracting. When you need a lift, call Prime Equipment Company at 348-2841. 38 seconds to go. Last play or 2 of the ball game now coming up for Curtis on what has been a terrific effort for JT Curtis's team.
And both teams are going to be a force to be reckoned with in their respective districts. Of course, John Curtis with the Carvers and a lot of those teams that open up the ball pretty well, or air the ball out pretty well, are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And the Shaw Eagles in the Catholic League, along with Romo Jesuit, Holy Cross St. Augustine, and Brother Martin de La Salle, will certainly be a force to be reckoned with.
As we approach 20 seconds to go in the game, the WHNO High School Game of the Week brought to you in part by Academy Sports, AAA Trophies, Prime Equipment, Coca-Cola, Kenner Regional Medical Center, ITT Technical Institute, and WHNO Sports. And that is the last play of the ball game as we head 2-1. And the John Curtis Patriots with a commanding, deciding win, 38-7 over Shaw. We're back with some post-game interviews and more from the WHNO, and we'll award the trophy to our player of the game. WHNO Sports High School Game of the Week on WHNO TV 20. Player of the game is sponsored by AAA Trophies. That's located at 3813 Florida Avenue in Kenner. You can see the best in championship awards at AAA Trophies. Call them at 467-7384. And Nate Singleton has the coach and the player of the game. Let's send it down to Nate. Nate?
Once again, victorious, Coach J.T. Curtis. Coach, congratulations on the win tonight. You know, I'm an offensive player, and I'll always be an offensive-minded guy, and I love to see passes. Coach, talk to me a little about offensively, line, and defensive line. You guys dominated the game tonight. Talk to us a little
Well,
bit.
we did play awfully well in the defensive line especially. I was really pleased with how we rushed the passer, how we kept Rochelle contained because he's an elusive runner. I thought offensively we came out, played well, then we got a little spotty in the second quarter and came back in the third quarter, did a good job of controlling the line of scrimmage, Nate.
Good, Coach. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and congratulations on the win.
Good, thank you. Appreciate being on.
All right. Okay, we have our player of the week, Mike Hope Quinn. He had, let's say, he was all over the field tonight, guys. He was one of our key guys that we watched tonight. He stepped up when he had to. Let's talk to me a little about the sacks that you made at the key times of the game.
I was just flying off the ball and trying to get in there and disrupt some stuff, you know. Been working hard all week trying to get here, so I knew they was going to be ready, but we were more ready.
Okay, you say you guys was ready. Talk to us a little about the rival game that we have with what you guys have with Shaw.
Oh, we've been playing them for a long time. They're usually pretty good every year, and they brought it to us for a little while this year, but we came out on top.
Okay, congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Nate.
Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Nate. And again, Mike O'Quinn, the quote, trying to disrupt some stuff. And that's exactly what he did. I remember our next game, our exciting prep football action will continue when WHNO Sports brings you the WHNO High School Game of the Week. Tune in Saturday, September 28th at 3 o'clock as Reed takes on the Gunna 35. It's on WHNO TV 20, the only game in town. Remember, for a VHS copy of tonight's game or any of the WHNO High School Games of the Week, you can send a check or a money order for just $25 to WHNO TV 20 as the coach enjoys himself. That's at 1100 Jefferson Davis Parkway in New Orleans, 70125. Renee, terrific performance on both sides of the ball by Curtis.
And you saw some sparkling efforts on both sides of the ball, even though Shaw came up on the short end of the stick on the scoreboard. You've seen some sparks of greatness and what they can do this year in that tough Catholic league. And it's not only Rochelle. You've seen Brandon Johnson running. Francisco did some good things at the end, and that defense got a touchdown for him, and there was some great efforts there. You're not going to run across too many teams equivalent to a John Curtis in the Catholic League this year, and I think Shaw will be in the mix as the smoke clears at the end of the season. John Curtis is going to be a team that very few teams are going to compete with throughout their schedule this year. 17
state championships they have now, and this team looks ready at least to compete for number 18. For Nate Singleton and Renee Nato, I'm Doug Mouton. Again, the final score was 38-7. John Curtis over Shaw.